Hey everyone, welcome to another Avoid the Fish YouTube video. Today we'll be talking about the Krasny Krym. It's a Tier 4 Russian cruiser. Krasny Krym translates in English to Red Crimea. To give you a little bit about the name of the ship, it was actually renamed before it saw action in World War II, but in the game it's called the Krasny Krym, and it's available in the store for 187,500 global XP. Global XP does take a while to earn, so before you buy it, I'd recommend watching this video entirely and see a little bit of what you're getting. It's a Svetlana class cruiser, so the Svetlanas in the game is a Tier 3 Russian cruiser. This is an upgraded Svetlana, so if you're familiar with the Svetlana and like it, then you'll probably like this ship. If you don't like the Svetlana though, don't expect too much more from this ship. I'll compare it statistically with the Svetlana and then the Tier 4 Russian cruiser that's in the tech tree, the Kirov, and you can kind of compare and get an idea of the differences. But first we'll talk a little bit about the history of the ship. Construction of the Krasny Krym began in World War I, but was put on hold due to the Russian Civil War. After the Russian Civil War, she saw several refits leading up to World War II, which ultimately ended up in her becoming an anti-aircraft ship that was also used in support of ground forces. You see this in her secondary armament of the 3 Italian Minizini twin guns. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but just know that in World War II, she didn't really see any action to my knowledge against other naval vessels. She was used only in support of ground forces and evacuation of ground forces. So I've cherry-picked a couple stats to look at when comparing these three ships. Always remember, though, that the stats only give you a little picture of the total performance of the ship, so don't buy into it too much. But in comparison of hit points, the Krasny Krym has the largest health pool at 25,100. That's almost 2,000 more than the Kirov and 3,000 more than Svetlana. Armament-wise, the Kirov has the best guns at 180 millimeter. It's a 3x3 arrangement, so you have 9 guns in total, and those can rotate to each side of the ship. 2 on the front, 2 turrets on the front, 1 on the back. The Krasny Krym and Svetlana have individual guns. There's 15 of them, and they're 130 millimeters. The Krasny Krym damage output is a little bit higher, though, per shell than the Svetlana, but the Svetlana also has a higher percentage of a chance for that HE to catch a ship on fire, which is important. Reload speed wise, the Kirov is significantly slower than the two at 13.5 seconds. The Krasny Krym has the fastest reload at 8.1 seconds. Torpedo wise, they both have one salvo that they can shoot from each side as far as the Kirov and the Krasny Krym. The Kirov range is 4 kilometers, where the Krasny Krym is 5 kilometers. They both go about 65 knots. The Kirov goes at 64 knots. The Svetlana, on the other hand, has a 5-kilometer range with 52-knot torpedoes, but there's 2 launchers on each side, which gives you a little bit extra damage, but they are significantly slower and they're easier to dodge. Don't expect to hit any destroyers or very many cruisers with the Svetlana's torpedoes. You probably can hit battleships still, though, which is a very good defense, but the Krasny Krym has the fastest torpedoes. That's what I like, and they also go 1 kilometer farther than the Kirov's torpedoes. They're pretty nice. I had some success with them. Got a couple devastating strikes on battleships. Yeah, they were Tier 3s, and I think I had one on a Tier 4. But going into the speed and rudder ship, the Kirov is significantly faster. It's 6.5 knots faster than the Krasny Krym and Svetlana. But the Krasny Krym does have the better rudder shift out of the 3 of them at 7.2 seconds. That's 3 seconds faster than the Kirov. But also remember that the turning radius of these Russian ships is not good at all. So they're gonna feel like you're driving a battleship, steering a battleship. They don't turn well at all. They're not very maneuverable. And then concealment-wise, the Svetlana is the best at 10.9 kilometers, where the Krasny Krym and Kirov are just over 12.3 kilometers each. So in comparison to the other Tier 4 cruisers, expect to get spotted. The Kirov and the Krasny Krym are pretty large vessels, and you can see them from a ways away in this game. So don't expect to have a concealment or stealth cruiser build. You're going to be taking fire and putting out lots of gunfire. So Wargaming uploaded this awesome graphic this morning. Kudos to them for doing that for the community. This tells you a lot about the ship. But armor-wise, you don't want to open up your broadside, even though it does have some nice chunky armor down there at the waterline. You still will get citadels. Don't let that confuse you with having a good belt protection as far as incoming fire. Even destroyers will citadel you, so just make sure that if you are broadside to a ship, that it is not shooting back at you. The secondary armament's actually pretty good with this ship, but don't get that confused with the ship being a brawler. You will get a lot of hits because it's an accurate secondary armament, but at most you can only have 2 turrets shooting at one ship at a time, and they don't really put out a ton of damage. They will get a lot of hits, though, so it'll help you finish off a destroyer or something every once in a while, but you don't really want to play this ship like it's a brawler. This ship is much better whenever you can sit back and dodge some shots, even though it is very It's like you're driving a school bus. It does not turn well. It does not speed up well. It's not a very maneuverable ship. Torpedo tube wise, they are fast. We've already talked about this a little bit, but I will say that if you have a battleship or something pushing you and you can effectively hide and stay alive before it gets to you, you can salvo it with one set of torpedoes. And then concealment wise, this thing will get spotted by any other cruiser, it feels like. Don't expect to outspot much, and I wouldn't really invest in much of a concealment build. And then moving on to consumables, damage control party is there with infinite charges, and then you get 2 charges of sonar, but you do not get a spotting plane or anything else like a smoke screen. So don't expect to be using this much as a support as far as other teammates for providing cover, because consumable wise, you just don't have a lot to offer except for your sonar. And then moving on to my setup, there's only one mod slot, and I use Aiming Systems Mod 1. I think that's the only choice for this ship. The main battery Mod 2 helps your traverse speed, and it slows down your reload, but whenever you have guns on each side of the ship that do not rotate to the other side, traverse speed doesn't mean that much because they will be on target pretty quickly if they're not already on target. And then the secondary battery Mod 2 isn't very useful because at most you can have 2 turrets on a target at once, and you don't really want to be playing this as a brawler anyway. So just get Aiming Systems Mod 1 and then roll with that. So moving on to commanders, I think you have 3 options, either Von Essen, Kuznetsov, or Makarov. Out of the 3, I personally used Makarov the most, but I don't have any of them leveled up too highly. Von Essen is solid for mini ships, but he isn't specifically for cruisers. Kuznetsov is more of the attacking build, and then Makarov is more of the supportive and defensive build to help you stay alive, and that's ultimately where I found most of my success. With him, I use the Ingenious perk, so and that identifies how many people are aiming at you. It comes up with a little number on your screen if you're not familiar with it. But whenever you get more than 1 or 2 aiming at you, you want to be turning away and just getting out of there. I usually would turn away if even 1 person was aiming at me. And at this level, most players will stop aiming at you if you're running away, so it gave me more time to do more damage, essentially, because this ship can get deleted fairly easily. And it's also a little bit more maneuverable, and the damage control party is upgraded with Makarov, so I would give him a shout if you're looking for a good commander for this ship, but all 3 are viable. So we're loaded into straight here, the map's straight. We're playing domination game type, one of my favorite game types in the game. As far as how it's set up, you have 2 points pre-captured, and then you have 2 open points. Kind of funnels the actions into 2 areas, and then every once in a while there's a little bit of action in the middle. But what I do with this ship, and I haven't developed the best strategy with it yet. I think there's probably better strategy out there, but in the games that I played with it, there wasn't anything that it really excelled at strategy-wise. It seemed like everything was just kind of okay. I tried a sniper build. I also tried an up close and personal build. You do have the 8 guns on each side, basically. That can shoot effectively at each side. So whenever you do have that, you can go in and blast on one side and quickly look to the other side and shoot your guns again. But I found that the best strategy is to play this at a medium range and try to use the map to your advantage with like the islands. And so I push over here to the right at the beginning, and it's a little bit slow to start this gameplay, so I'll talk a little bit about the guns on this ship. The AP, you don't want to shoot it at range. I shoot it at cruisers when they're within probably about 6 kilometers of me. Anything outside of that, I'm shooting HE, and the HE is relatively strong. It's not going to set a ton of fires, but I guess that's most cruisers at this level. Unless you're playing as a Japanese cruiser, once you start lighting people up with your HE, after a couple of salvos, you might get a couple fires started. It's not like every salvo though you start a fire. Um, but anyways, I'm just sitting here waiting for this destroyer to spot, and I want him to go in and get in the cap, and I accidentally signal for him to set a smoke screen. And him being a good teammate, he sets it, and it kind of messes him up in a little bit here. You'll see that coming. That's completely my fault. I was trying to get him to go into the capture and spot for us, but he was being a good teammate, laying down the smoke screen whenever I asked for it, even though that's not really what I wanted. But that's on me and my communication. But anyways, I mostly shoot fire with this gun, the HE shells, try to cause fires. You see that the destroyer gets spotted over there, and I react a little bit late, don't get the shots off on him. But now my guy's setting down this smoke screen. You didn't see me call for it, but I did call for a smoke screen on accident. So he sets this down for us, and he's going to go in and spot. And basically, it helps me out. They do have an airplane up, I believe, on the other side, but I can get some shots off here, hopefully, behind this smoke screen. And there's the Tenryu. It goes ahead and pops up, so I fire off some quick shots and switch to my AP because that is within the 6 kilometers where I'm shooting. You'll notice I'm still broadside here. Once I get spotted, I'll angle. You have pretty good angling in this ship. You can get 6 guns online at probably about a 10-degree angle. You can get 7 or 8, I believe, if you open up to probably about 25 degrees. Those are just ballpark numbers, but right now I have 7 online from being pretty open, and I'm just waiting for that Tenryu to be spotted again. But unfortunately for me, our destroyer came back across into his smoke screen and did not see those torpedoes until it was too late, so he's out of the game. There's the Tenryu again, and he opens up his broadside. I don't know what happened to my shots there. They just disappeared. These are pretty accurate guns. They're not amazingly powerful guns, but they are accurate guns. And you really shouldn't be missing shots like that, like I just did. I don't know if that was on me or the dispersion of the shot, but they're accurate guns, and that does not happen very often. So anyways, I turned around here. I need to get back into action. I know that it's just me now and this battleship, and there's at least 3 ships over here that we've spotted so far. So I just got to make sure that we're spotting and not just getting fired upon. There's no use in just sitting back there and taking fire from cruisers behind islands when a destroyer spotting. You need to get forward at least a little bit, play a little bit more aggressive. That doesn't mean just rush, of course. You need to play tactfully. So I'm behind the island. I can't be shot by the cruisers. I do push out to spot this destroyer and try to get the kill here. So I open up. I can get 6 guns or 7 guns on him right now. He's messed up. He can't get out. You can see my secondaries are kicking into action. I get a hit there on that first shot. These are accurate secondaries, but they're nothing you want to build around. They are nice to have, though. They can finish off kills if you get them super weak, but they're not something that you want to have as your primary setup. This Tenryu, he messes up. He gives me a flat broadside here. Get a couple citadels, 3 citadels on him, get the sink. Pretty lucky there that he opened up like that. He could have easily torpedoed me there. I pushed out pretty boldly to get that destroyer, but it ended up paying off. I got both of those ships, and now I'm pushing up to see if I can catch this Omaha. I'm also in the cap, trying to get the cap back for our team so we can start getting points. And then I notice our B flag's getting capped somehow. Somehow that guy snuck up through the middle without me noticing him. But we go ahead and shoot at him, make sure to reset that cap. He's chasing the Arkansas. The Arkansas is a much better ship at that range than the Phoenix. Even if the Phoenix has those torpedoes in the water, the Arkansas can avoid them and just blast the Phoenix. Not the best armored ship, so not too worried about him, but I'll help the Arkansas finish him off so that there's no more worry of our home flag being captured. Even though it doesn't matter, if you lose your B flag, it's not like you lose the game. It's not like the 2CP where you each have a home base and you got to capture it. You can always lose that one, but it's best to hold on to these flags. Keep building up your points as the game goes. So anyways, I push back forward, see if I can spot this Omaha. There he is, 9 kilometers away. I have HE loaded, which is what I want to shoot. I'm still experimenting though, so every once in a while I'll switch to the AP if they're flat broadside, but I haven't gotten any long-range citadels with this ship. The 130mm shells just aren't big enough. And then this guy came out of nowhere, this little G101, but we switch back to HE to shoot at him, and we take out his engine, so he has to use his repair party on that. I don't know if he just doesn't use his repair party there, or if he had something else, maybe something light him on fire somehow. But he's dead in the water right now. He can't move. He will torpedo this Kaiser. The Kaiser pushes right next to him, and that's the best way to go out as a battleship, is to just go up close with the destroyer that has torpedoes loaded. But anyways, we lost our battleship. It's just me over here on this side of the map now versus 2 ships that I know of. There could be another, not positive, but I finish off that G101. He was dead in the water, so didn't take too much aiming skill to finish him off there. It's nice to have the 8 guns, though, that I can shoot at him. And I get spotted by this Omaha who launches a plane. I know that he's over there where that plane's taking off, but I don't know which direction he's pointed right now or anything. So I'm just creeping up kind of slowly, trying to get up to full speed. This ship maneuvers like a bus, so don't expect to dodge many shots or torpedoes up close. You can dodge torpedoes, but you usually get hit by 1 or 2 if they're pretty fast movers, just because even though you have a decent rudder shift, the turning radius on this thing is not very good. Maybe once you get more used to it, it'd be easier to dodge torpedoes. But right here, I tuck inside. I want to make sure that I give myself the best advantage possible. So I angle well here. I get 7 guns online, and I get 2 citadels on this Omaha. He's flat broadside against me. I have a big advantage in this fight right now, even though I have smaller guns. He's shooting HE as well, which is probably best for him, but he gets hit 4 times in the Citadel, and he gets destroyed pretty quickly there. And I've taken over this side of the map. There's only 1 ship left in this game. He's just pushing down the middle of that battleship, so I'm spotted right now just by the plane still. and maybe by him as well. I'm not positive. It could be him or the plane right now, but we've successfully defended this sea capture point, and now we just got to finish this last kill. I don't want you guys to think that this is an amazing ship. This ship is probably underpowered for the tier 4. This would be a very good ship at tier 3, one of the best cruisers in tier 3, but they decided to put it in tier 4, and I think that's probably a mistake. It's still a decent ship, but I would not recommend this for you if you want a world beater for tier 4. If you get in with the tier 5s, you are at quite a disadvantage, and you can get blown up. You can get blown up very quickly by tier 5 battleships. This would be what I consider to be more of a novelty ship. It has some very strong points, but overall, it's just kind of frustrating to play whenever you have someone with bigger guns than you, because you just get overmatched quite a bit. Even if you're bow tanking, you're still going to get penetrated and get heavy damage every single time they fire their guns at you, and you'll get ricochets quite a lot with these 130mm guns. Even though you have quite a few of them, if they don't penetrate, there's not much you can do to damage the enemy. You can see that as I'm shooting this Ganget, even though it's a tier 3. I'm really struggling to do any damage. Luckily I set a fire there, but you see I do absolutely 0 damage, as all these are just shattering as soon as they hit him. I would say this ship, it may not be worth the global XP unless you're really a fan of the Russian cruisers and you just want to complete the line. You want to have every Russian cruiser in the game. It's a little bit of a novelty ship. It's going to be a rare ship. I don't think many people will invest in this ship, and that's probably the right decision to make. But if you do have it, you won't see too many of them out there. It'll be a rare ship that other people don't really have. And if you want to flex like that in the game, be my guest. But it's not one that I'd really recommend to players that are looking for a ship that is just amazing, that's on a different level. This is one of the few games that I actually survived the whole match. It's tough to stay alive in this thing, especially at tier 4. And when you play tier 5, you're almost guaranteed to die by the end of the match. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I really do like making these. I'm going to play with a more fun ship next time that you guys may not have played with. But anyways, look for that video to be coming out in the next couple days, and have a good one. Smooth sailing out there, and if you pick up the ship, you'll have to let me know how you do. I struggled with it, but maybe you guys can find more success than I did. Anyways, smooth sailing. See ya.